All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a special edition, man. Hey, yeah, special evening edition with Conversations with Geoff International. And boy, we have a treat for you tonight. Oh, man. So hurry up. If you're finishing up dinner so you can sit down at the table or you're coming in from carry out, whatever you're doing, hurry up. You got a couple of minutes before I bring this next guest on. And we were chatting just before I popped in, man, and just we talked about grace and humility and just a strong presence, right? And man, so get ready. All right. So welcome again to Conversations with Geoff. And our mission is to bring folks in like you're going to hear tonight from all over the world, different backgrounds, different perspectives, from the streets to the boardroom, from the boardroom back to the streets, or, single moms raising kids and building businesses, to creating communities, safe communities for people with one common mission, right? And that's to leave you with some empowering solutions, to flip the switch on that stinking thinking, that conversation you're having with yourself about yourself. It's the conversation we all have, right? I mean, you probably have one today. Drop it in the chat or the comment section. Let me know how that conversation went. Was it inspiring? Did it bring you joy, or was it kind of like the same old whispering? It's automatic now, so the whole day was just kind of like going through the motions. You ever have those days when you get home and you're like, how'd I get here? Or you get to the office and how'd I get there? Or any of those things. I mean, put it in. I know I'm not the only one that has those experiences, right? But anyway, oh man, so that's part of our mission. And really, guys, I mean, it's important to understand that the internal messaging that we have, we all know about it, on top of the external noise that's going on, right? With tariffs happening, AI going crazy, people worrying about their jobs, spouses getting divorced, all that stuff, man. So it's really important to know that you have the ability. As human beings, we have the gift of discernment. We can take what we have between our ears and begin to switch that switch. Practice some new things. You're going to hear some things about resilience. You're going to hear some things about perseverance. Today, you're going to understand the joy of achieving things that are difficult that you didn't think you could get done today, right? I like what she said. She talks a lot about designing life. I wrote the note down that you don't need a vacation from. Woo-hoo! Right? That means you have a lifestyle that every day you're in peace. Every day you're enjoying some things, man. So designing a life that you don't need a vacation from. Oh man. So anyway, let me just by the way, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Geoff Tyson, and I'm known as the Comeback King and host of Conversations with Geoff International and founder of Comeback King Enterprises, where we provide legendary speaking, consulting, and coaching around the power of the comeback. So man, listen, got some great stuff coming up. Don't miss out on that. So anyway, let me get to the bio. All right, let me see here. I mean, I'm going to highlight it because there's just so many things. But she's a co-founder, Gwendella Robinson, Dr. Gwendella Robinson, co-founder and CEO of Golden Life Travel, real estate investor, and retired Navy veteran. Born and raised in Southside Chicago, she's a woman of vision, resilience, and purpose. After graduating high school, she embarked on a transformative 20-year journey with the United States Navy. 20 years, man. Proudly served for her country, traveled the world, earned 4 degrees, all funded through her military service. Told you she was smart, right? Get that education on Uncle Sam's dime, baby. Lifelong explorer at heart, she launched Golden Life Travel to help others experience the world with intention and joy. And the trips that they've taken and all this other stuff, it's just phenomenal. And she has property in other parts of the world that they're investing in and doing all these cool things. And I just want to say she specializes in curating immersive, cultural, rich experiences. I'm going to say it to you again, specializing in curating immersive, cultural, rich experiences for discerning travelers who crave for more than just a vacation. So rather, she's leading a hosted group tour or designing bespoke and itineraries. Dr. Gwendolyn ensures every detail is handled with care. Her signature travel style emphasizes authenticity, exploration, and personal growth. Talking about living your life, living your dream through your life, man. In addition to her travels, savvy real estate investor with both domestic and international holdings, her portfolio reflects a keen eye for opportunity and deep belief in building generational wealth. she shared with me a really cool way how they add properties too. Maybe we'll talk about that as the conversation goes on. So anyway, let me just be quiet and bring to the next conversation with my friend and our next guest, Dr. Gwendella Robinson.
Evening.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
Nothing much. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you here. And every time I read your bio, it's like, man, just so many things that aren't in there that should be. I mean, we'd be talking about that the whole night if we did. So, yeah, we really appreciate you being here. So what's going on in your world? Talk to us.
What's going on? Hey, just the usual. I'm grinding it out as usual, trying to make the world a better place for people, making sure that people live life like it's golden by traveling the world, getting to see other things, other cultures, because it's much more than what we see on TV. So I would say to people to debunk all of those myths that you may have heard or you may have seen about other people. There's no better way to really dispel those myths than to travel yourself and to actually meet people and see people. And what you'll realize is that other than having a language barrier, but now with all of the technology, there's really not even a language barrier, but we're definitely more alike than different.
Yeah, I love that, because what do we all want? To have some peace and calm and
yes.
in our life. And like you said, other than the language barrier, there are more commonalities. So what are some of the coolest spots that you've been in recently? I mean, I see you all over the place.
So recently, this year, there was a ladies' trip. We call it the Queen's Trip to the Maldives, Melanin Queens in the Maldives.
Yes.
Yes. And so that was a phenomenal trip. They were all women, 14 women, 12 of who were married. And then there were a few that were single. And we traveled to the Maldives because we all had something in common. Everybody had jobs that were stressful. They had family responsibilities that they simply just needed a little bit of a break from. Like, we love all those things we do for our family, you know, the kids, the husband, the grandchildren, whatever, the pets, all of that. We love to do all those things. But every now and then, you need just a little reprieve from that. And so all of us had that in common. We were tired. We were exhausted. We wanted to just focus on ourselves, engage in some self-care, and get to know ourselves as individuals again. And I tell you, we had a phenomenal time. Many of the ladies had never met until the trip, but now they are connected for life. And that's one of the goals, to connect people for life.
You know, I love that. As I'm listening to you talk, you know, there's so many things that moms inherit, whether the moms, the wives inherit traditionally, and there's this thing I hear a lot too, Doc, and you can maybe talk about that, where women are on kind of a little hesitant to take that kind of trip, take that break away from everything and do that. What do you tell those women that are like that?
I tell them to stop overthinking it, because as a woman, we spend so much time taking care of everybody else, and we kind of get lost in the shuffle. And we always think that people cannot do without us. The husband can't do without us for a week, the kids, the job, nobody can do without us. But the reality is, yes, they can all do without you. And if something happened tomorrow, people would be sad for a while at work. They'll have a moment of silence. And within 48 hours, they'll have somebody sitting in your seat.
Yeah.
Right? They'll have someone sitting in your seat acting until they find a permanent person. So we all have time. You have to make time, and we have to stop thinking that everything and everybody can't live without us, can't do without us for a week. So it's essential that we all take some time for ourselves, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, you know, it's essential, and I keep staying in the space for a minute, because so many people that are like, oh, I'd like to do that, or now it's the husbands. You know, how many of you are volunteering and freely supporting your spouses if the ladies are married, encouraging them to go? Because what do you, do all the wives, did they all get encouragement from their partners that were married and everybody, hey, go ahead and go? Or were there some of us like selfish and want to kind of, be passive aggressive and not really encouraging them?
Well, believe it or not, the ladies that were there all said their husbands were encouraging and saying, hey, honey, you need a break. And I'm like, wow, that's wonderful, because that's not always the case. And I've had to talk to people's husbands before, about a trip and what we were going to do while we were there and things like that. But like I tell everybody, we're good, God-fearing, wholesome women, and when we're on a ladies trip, we are bonding, connecting, just falling in love with ourselves again, having a great time and bonding with other women who understand exactly who we are and our struggles and all of those things. So it's a great time. And I think that everybody needs that time. Women need that time. Men need that time, because, they have a huge responsibility as well. I know my honey-do list is always several pages long. So I encourage my husband, hey, you want to do a golfing trip? What would you like to do? Because I think that everybody needs an opportunity to engage in self-care. I always say self-care isn't selfish at all.
Man, that's beautiful. I love that. And it's important. I mean, like you said, everybody should. And the more we can do things for ourselves like that, I believe it just makes the unity that much stronger.
Absolutely.
And more encouraging. And after all, we're all meant to do the best we can as individuals, and then be the strongest couple we can be. So now you're traveling, but has it always been that kind of thing for you? I mean, when you were in the military, did you get a chance to travel the world too then, or was it something different?
Yes. So I went into the military at 17. So I left Chicago, left Pastor Chu's house at 17. And so because my dad was a pastor, he really didn't want me to go to the military. It's like, women don't go to the military and this and that. And so people then had a lot of preconceived notions about what it was like in the military for women and things like that. But I knew that God had something greater planned for me than staying on the south side of Chicago my entire life. So after a lot of convincing, my dad signed the paperwork. I was able to enlist because I was 17. I had to have parental signature. And so finally he agreed and he allowed me to go. So I went to basic training in Orlando, Florida. And coming from Chicago, where it was very cold, going to school when the wind chill factor was like minus 60 degrees, Florida was wonderful. In Florida, I went to San Diego for more really nice weather. And then my very first duty station, you know where it was? Naples, Italy, which is what we know today as the Amalfi Coast. So 17, I am living life definitely like it's golden on the Amalfi Coast in Italy. That is where the travel bug started. So since then, I've always loved to travel, specifically the Navy. You have an opportunity to really travel, especially if you're on a big gray ship. And I was on a ship for several years. And on a ship, you do 6-month deployments to where you may visit the entire Mediterranean in a 6-month period. And so that's what we had done back in 90. We did a Mediterranean cruise. So I've gone all over Europe, love Europe. Yeah. And so that was my introduction to travel. And what they say, I've had the bug since then, since 17.
Well, those places you mentioned, it's hard not to go back to the States.
Right. Now, of course, that waxes and wanes, right? Because once you marry and you have children, your priorities start to shift and you have other things to do, like run kids around to sports and band and all of that. So you may not travel as much, but then they grow up, they go to college, and you find yourself again. So that's exactly what happened when people went to college. It's like, oh my goodness, you cry for like a day or two. Then it's like, I have all of this free time. What am I going to do? And honestly, that is when I started my travel business because I found myself with all of this free time. And so that you've been planning everybody's travel for the last 20, 30 years anyway. That's what you love to do. So you may as well make it your business. And I did.
So it is true that you can turn your passion into a business.
You most certainly can. That's what I did. Travel was my passion, and it's now still my passion, but it's also a business.
Yeah. You know, I love the going back to because you shared some pictures of the when you and the ladies went on the trip, and you can see just the settings was all real, like you said, just bonding and quiet, peaceful, and beautiful as can be. And then you go back and you figure out where you are in your life. The kids are gone, and now you're traveling. Is that when you started investing in some stuff nationally at that point too, or were you already investing?
Yeah. So everybody has that moment of clarity when that light comes on and you say, wow, why wasn't I doing whatever it is like 20 years ago or 30 years ago? So what happened with that is we were in Punta Cana, right? And so I met some people, realtors and investors and all of that. And so they told me, I shared this really wonderful opportunity about investing in the Dominican Republic, which is, one of the fastest growing areas, and it's the most visited destination in the Caribbean. Yeah. And so she's like, well, you really need to come over and take a look at it. And so we went, took a look at it, immediately just kind of fell in love with it. And so we started investing there in Punta Cana in the Dominican. And it's been wonderful. And of course, we asked ourselves, I spent 20 years in the military, my husband spent 30. We're like, why didn't we do this sooner? But as they say, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. But when you know better, you do better. So we said, hey, we like this international space. And we started investing there. We're continuing. We plan to buy a few more units over the next year, and then kind of look at some other places, kind of diversify in a few other areas as well.
Nice. So what would you tell some people, from what you've learned, what would you tell some people that are like you were when you first started, that might help them maybe move a little quicker or make better decisions, if that's such a thing? What would you tell some newbies?
Well, what I would say is don't be afraid, right? Because we can literally talk ourselves out of anything, and we can allow other people to talk us out of things, right? We'll have this idea, I want to, I want to invest, because we know that most of the millionaires in the world have acquired their wealth through real estate investing, right? We know that. So obviously there's something to it, right? It's a strategy that works. But I know people that will literally say, well, why do you want to do that? And they will, try to talk you out of it. And a lot of times we start to second guess ourselves and do what they call analysis paralysis, and we'll sit and analyze it, and we become immobile, and we will never actually execute and complete whatever it is, because we think of all of the 20 things that could go wrong. But I say for all those 20 things that could go wrong, there are 20 to 30 things that could go right. So have to learn to balance that out and say, hey, the worst that could happen is we'll learn a lesson, right? Because I've spent many, many years in school, and all of that schooling was expensive. I didn't have to pay for it, but it was still expensive for my employer to pay for, right? And so I said, if you look at investing the same way, if we mess up, it's tuition, because one thing's for certain, you will learn from it and you won't make that same mistake again. And have we made some mistakes? Yeah, with some domestic properties and things like that. We've made some mistakes, learn from them, and you just pick up and move on.
Yeah. That's a great story. And as you were talking, I was thinking about just sharing something from one of my coaches. Why do we always go to people that have never done anything near what you want to do?
Right.
And they confirm the reasons that we shouldn't do it and we don't.
Yes, absolutely. It's always the naysayers that are confirming it. It's not the person that has 20 or 30 properties that's been doing it for years. We're not talking to them. We're listening to Cousin Johnny and all of those people who have never invested in anything.
And riding in your car because they don't have a car.
Yes, right.
I mean, I'm laughing, but it's so serious, and so many times we stop. That. So I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
And what you have to learn is to surround yourself with people that are doing that very thing, because what we started to do is surround ourselves with other investors. People who were new investors like us, people who were extremely seasoned investors that have been investing for 30, 40, 50 years. And they knew the game, right? Forwards, backwards, sideways, all of that. They had made all of the mistakes, so they can keep you from making a mistake based on their experience. So you have to surround yourself with what I consider subject matter experts versus listening to Cousin Johnny, who has good intentions, but Cousin Johnny doesn't have a clue.
Not a clue. So how do you, I mean, that's easy for us to say that because we've been through some things. How do you tell that person that sees that circle of influence and then they compare themselves to where they are and they're hesitant? What can you share with them to kind of step out into that space and shake that hand to that person they need and stop talking themselves out? What can you say to them?
Well, you can share your experience as to how you did the very same thing, how maybe initially you listened to people, which is probably why we didn't do it earlier, right? Because we didn't know anybody else that was in this space and doing it. So it's very easy to allow those negative thoughts, right, to enter and cause you not to do something that you've thought about, you've looked at the risks, you've looked at the benefits, but as soon as this one person says this one thing, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And so I would share that experience. Now I don't listen to somebody that's not well experienced in this space. Same thing with travel. I surround myself with people who have been in the game and they're very successful at it versus somebody that's saying, well, I want to do it. I've been wanting to, do it for 15 years, but I didn't do it for these 100 reasons, right? It's the same in anything you do. There's always naysayers. There's always somebody that wants to talk you out of it. But you have to decide for yourself, this is what I want to do. And you have to just do it at some point. And that timing is different for everybody. And what I firmly believe in, it's never too late to become a millionaire. You can wake up at 100 and say, I want to be a millionaire for the rest of the time I have on this earth. So whatever that time is, you're allowed to have goals, and you should have goals. So this thing about, oh, you're too old, you should have started 30 years ago, probably, but I didn't. But it's okay that I started when I did, and I'm perfectly okay with that. The only difference is, of course, when you start getting to that fourth and fifth decade, well, for me, I look at things differently. My husband and I look at things differently. So whereas maybe 30 years ago, my risk tolerance would have probably been extremely high. Now it's more balanced because I know that there's fewer years left to recover. So everything is going to be more of a balance versus an extreme in either direction.
I love that. And that's so good. I hope folks were listening and go back and replay that little session in there. There were so many nuggets around surrounding yourself with the right people. Proximity is power, no doubt about it. When you were talking, I was thinking about starting my first business. I went to A players in the same industry. How'd you do it? Right? How'd you do it? Well, how can you help me? But there's something around pride that gets in the way sometimes, where we.
Yes. Now that is very true, because what happens is, if you're a professional in whatever industry, like your profession in your industry, and you decide you want to pursue this passion, or you want to open a business, or you want to start investing. And so sometimes people think that they're too smart to learn something from somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we don't always want to listen to what this other person has to say because they learn from the school of hard knocks. And so we don't always value what they say. But guess what? They went to the school of hard knocks and they're millionaires and billionaires.
And billionaires.
Foot into a formal college or university.
Not one. Not one step, but that, and you talked about me a little bit because, when I was younger, I'm like, I'm going to figure it out myself. I'm going to have my own business and build my business. But, I understood eventually that, I need to invest in myself through education because money loves speed. And like you're saying, why be a dum-dum and bump your head when somebody's telling you how to not bump your head, right? But people don't, and you talked a little bit about that. What do you say to that person that thinks you're talking about them, but they're afraid to invest in training and education? They're afraid to invest in themselves.
Yeah, so that's a big one. That's a huge barrier for people, right? And you really have to just kind of break it down. Can you go out there and read books and learn things on your own? Absolutely. Anytime I have a goal to do something, I totally immerse myself in that particular topic and subject. So I'm going to go online. I'm going to find every resource I can find, every book I can read, every lecture that's out there on YouTube University and all of that stuff, right? But that only takes you so far. So at some point, you have to actually invest in some training that will develop you and take you to the next level, so that it may work superficially and initially, but there comes a time when you'll have to elevate your knowledge. So you're going to have to go and pay for training. And I have to tell myself, I'm like, okay, you have to invest in yourself and you're going to have to go and pay for this education. Now, are there people out there taking advantage of others? Absolutely. So you have to be very conscious about who you're training with and where you're training and the amount that you're willing to invest in yourself. And so for everybody, that looks different. You have to decide what that looks like. And I would tell anybody, you don't have to do it all at once. You can have a 2-year plan to where you're gradually doing training, but the objective is to continue to learn, because if you want to master anything, if you want to become a subject matter expert, you have to be well studied on whatever it is. And that's done over time with different people, because different subject matter experts have different perspectives. So even taking training with more than one person is always beneficial, because they have very different experiences, perspectives, and everything to share. But I think that education and training should be part of your budget, right, for development, because there's this saying, we should never stop learning until we stop breathing. So as long as we're in our bodies, we should be learning something. The mind should constantly be active. When your mind is stagnant and you fail to learn, you should be really concerned.
Yeah, I like that. When you fail to learn, you should be really concerned. I don't know if you're meant to do that, but that's how that tied up. So I like that. And so you're doing all these things, you learn. I got to back up this for just a second, because 20 years in the military, you were talking about leadership and learning from people. Can you, and a female, in the military, what can you share about when you're in a situation where you may be dealing with someone that's disrespectful, that whole issue around the real stuff that happens in life, in military and business, everywhere, where women and certain people of color they don't always get a fair shot. And obviously that didn't matter because you've done some successful things. What can you talk about that for just a second?
Well, so what I will say is, of course, there are always people that will try to become obstacles in your career path. And you have two choices. You can either allow them to be an obstacle, or you learn how to overcome the obstacle, right? So one thing my great grandparents and my grandparents and my dad taught me is that you have to work hard. You have to work twice as hard and be twice as good. I remember saying, well, why do I have to work twice as hard and be like everybody else and just work regular, right? And they're telling me, no, because you are an African-American woman, you're going to have to work twice as hard and be twice as good. And of course, growing up, you're like, what does that entail? And once you get out there into the workforce, the military, corporate America, whatever it is, you do realize that you do have to prove yourself.
Yeah.
For lack of a better phrase, but yeah, I mean, it is the reality. But I can honestly say I've never experienced any overt racism, right? But I've never experienced it straight out. During my time in the military, it was really a great experience. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it in a heartbeat. But it taught me a lot about just the basics, right? You meet people that came into the world with money. So these 20-year-olds already have, they have their investments and their IRAs and their trust funds and things like that. You're like, oh, what? And so you learn from them and you're like, wow, okay, this person's 20 years old and they have Fidelity investments, they have mutual funds and they're investing in stocks and they're doing all the things. And you learn that I need to do those things too. So there's a lesson in everything. So I think I've always chosen to, rather than see the obstacles and the barriers that were there, really focusing on how to utilize all of that to my benefit and learning from people I've always utilized to my benefit.
Well, I believe that's why you didn't probably have any issues like you're talking about. You were looking not so much at the mess, but what matters.
Yeah. And I always said, we don't even have to like each other, but we will show each other mutual respect, right? Because first, we're human. We're the human race. We're both human beings. So we will treat each other with respect. We don't have to be buddies or, we don't have to be best friends. You don't have to invite me over for dinner, but we will treat each other with respect. And as long as we establish that, it's good.
It makes a difference. I mean, we shared similar paths. So, I say kudos to you.
Yeah. So I believe that everything is an opportunity. It's all in how you approach it, how you view it, and how you choose to allow things to affect you. So they'll either inspire you to do better, or it can have the opposite effect. For me, it was always that inspiration to do something better.
I love that, the inspiration to do something better. It's a choice we make, and stop going to cousin Leroy and asking him or that circle.
Yeah, stop that.
And push yourself to be uncomfortable in spaces and bring value. I mean, you brought value in those circumstances.
And it applies to every aspect of life. I'll give you another example. So as a married woman, right, if I have some challenges that I want to talk about in marriage, right, I'm going to seek out somebody that's been in the game 50, 60 years, right? They've been through it all. They've done it all. They have all of the stories to prove it. So that's who I'm going to seek out to pour into me. I'm not going to go and ask someone that doesn't have that same experience, because the approach that they're going to use and the advice that they're going to give me is going to be very different from that person that's been in the game for 60 years, that's been married for 60 years. Doesn't mean those 60 years were perfect, but they obviously know how to work through disagreements, work through conflict, and all of that. So that's the story that I want to hear. How did you overcome these obstacles?
No, anytime I get around somebody, not that I'm a youngster anymore, but someone that's got some years on them, and they're willing to sit down and talk about their lessons that they learned, like you're talking about. But we always go to, like, the fellas will go hang around all their single buddies, and get advice from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's doing.
I wouldn't take that, man. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do. You don't even have a wife. What do you mean? There might be a reason that you don't have one. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, lots of them. And there's Paul, Leroy, everybody that he's hanging around, right? Because it's just how we associate, Doc. So, I really appreciate you, allowing me to kind of just weave back and forth and how you're tying all this stuff together, because it really, it just shows that, man, it hasn't been easy to sit there and be who you are today, but you've had a different attitude about it. So as we kind of start winding down, and we've talked about several different things, what can you summarize in a couple different ways? The military experience, and then the corporate life, and then we'll close it up maybe with the personal side.
Okay, so I would say that my military experience influences my corporate experience. The reason is, every single time that you're promoted in the military, it comes with specific training, right? And you go to training, you're going to school, so you're always learning. So that is imprinted in who you are, that you need to continue to learn. And every promotion comes with new knowledge and new skills and all of that. I took that same attitude into corporate America. And so I was able to do very well in corporate America because it was exactly the same concept. When I went into a position, I immersed myself in it, learned everything I possibly could, read every book I could read, every policy, every directive, everything. I wanted to know as much as I possibly could. And I would do that for like a year or so until I really felt like I was truly a subject matter expert. That's what I did. I was going to know everything, frontward, backward, sideways, you name it. And that's just me until I feel comfortable in being that subject matter expert. So it's really about your approach. And so my approach has always been full immersion. Go get it head on. Make sure that you are the expert. Make sure that you are the fixer. So that's the other thing I do. I fix things. So most of the time in my personal life, professional life, and otherwise, when things are broken, people want me to come fix it for them, or they want advice on how to fix it. So in my corporate job, when an area was failing, they would say, okay, we need you to go in and do X, Y, and Z. And I'd go clean it up and have it running like a well-oiled machine. And I'm like, okay, what's next? So that, because for me, if you can fix things that are broken, you can do anything. So most people want to go into a job and they want a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Right? I talk to other people all the time. They say, hey, I want to get to this particular level, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And I'll say, well, these other 3 jobs are open. Why not apply for one of those? And, oh, that's too much work. Or that place is a mess. And I said, exactly. That's exactly why you should go there. It's a mess. Show them your expertise. Correct it. Fix it up. Make it shine. What better way to show your expertise and your mastery than going and taking a problem, solving it, right?
No, that's really a powerful nugget that they don't talk a lot about. It's in corporate America. I was listening to you. I'm thinking, oh yeah, that was my journey.
Yes.
I raised my hand every time it was something.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Where?
A
When?
challenge, a difficult project, or whatever it is, I'll do it. I'll do it. Right. Because it's at rock bottom.
Yeah.
Whatever you do is better than it is, right?
But it's easier. It's easier to fix crap than
So if you really go in there with the right attitude and the right intention, you can just do anything. Like the sky's the limit. And so anytime they needed something fixed, I would fix it. And to this day, sometimes to say, hey, we need you to do this or that. I'll do it. No problem.
Yeah. And it takes less time to fix the mess than it does to take something that's really running well oiled to the next level. I mean, give me the mess. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true. So then, personally, to the people out there that are wanting to today's world, Doc, would you agree that there's no better time than now to pursue your lifelong ambition is to step out, become your own business owner, and with technology and everything in its place now. You did it. You're living the life, making choices, creating a lifestyle that is fantastic.
Yes. So I think, and I think differently. I think there's two paths. So some people are of the school that in order to become, this millionaire, billionaire entrepreneur, that you have to quit your job. And in fact, when you go to a lot of training, especially as an investor, the first thing they want to say is, okay, yeah, well, in 6 months, you need to quit your job. And I bought these 5 properties and I quit my job. And I'm saying, great for you. Maybe that works for you.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's what you like. But I've always thought, why can't I do both? Why do you have to choose one or the other until I say that that's what I want to do?
Yeah, I like that.
And so there's the other school that says you can be an entrepreneur, you can be an investor, you can have your own business, and you can still work in corporate America if you choose to. Right? Because depending on your profession, if you have any type of license, once you stop utilizing those licenses, they lapse. And if times ever got hard and you needed to reacclimate yourself, you have to go back to school. Who wants to go back to school all over again? I mean, you've already spent enough years in school. So you have to really look at the big picture. Now, what I did realize for some, after really analyzing a lot of people that said, oh, I quit my job. Well, the jobs that they quit were of a certain range, right? Yeah. So it was easy to maybe replace that income.
That's right.
And for others, it's a lot more difficult it takes longer, should I say, to replace the level of income that they may command, right? And so and some people are just choose not to choose one over the other, and we'll do both. So for me, this point in my life, I do both.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. I mean, at some point, I will stop doing both and just kind of focus on my businesses. But yeah, right now I do both, and I don't think people need to feel like they have to choose. That's another reason that people are apprehensive, because everybody wants to tell you to quit your 9 to 5 in order to be successful in this industry or that industry. But I don't think you have to do that. If you can and you want to, it's great.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I agree. When I made the transition, I had created the corporate world that I was pretty much my own boss. And could have done it forever, but they started playing with my money. So I'm saying, okay, well, I looked over here and I was able to do that. Right? I love it. If it makes sense and it's easy to do, then all means, position yourself, stack some coin, invest in some coin, and however it is. So I like that. I like that suggestion. So listen, tell me something. How do people get a hold of you in your travel business? I mean, I want to make sure we get that out before we get out of here.
Yes, absolutely. So our website is really simple. It's living my life like it's golden, travelmovement.com. And we have 2025, 2026, and we're actually populating 2027, because when you talk about traveling in the international space, and you're traveling at that 5-star level, which most of my clients are, they want time to plan for these major trips and things like that. So we have things populated normally 18 to 24 months in advance. So that's plenty of time to make your plan and execute and live out your bucket list.
Yeah.
Bucket lists are made to be checked off.
Right. And so do you also have a community? I'm not sure if that's a public community or a private community.
Yes. So I have a Facebook group. I have 2 of them. The Facebook group is the same. It's called the Golden Travel Tribe. And it's a public Facebook group, and we have a lot of people in there. They all share their travel experiences. Sometimes people are just wanting advice. They don't even have to buy anything. It's really about building community. I have people in there that just want knowledge. They want to know things for whenever they decide to go. And then there are extremely seasoned travelers that are traveling 5, 6, 7 times a year that are sharing that. So it's really an inspirational. And then we also discuss lifestyle topics. We talk about, maintaining our health while traveling, or just living a healthy lifestyle, period. And then I have a couples group called Couple Conversations. And the intent of that group is to keep people married, right? Marriage is not easy. It's wonderful. We all love it, but there are some challenges. And I think if people had a community that talked about all of the hard things, that we would probably have a much lower divorce rate. In our communities specifically, but you don't always have those mentors out there or people just to kind of give you information. So the first response is to just quit, right? Yeah. I quit.
Yeah.
And so we have topics monthly about different things pertaining to marriage. We're getting ready to kick off our series next month, so we'll be talking about generational wealth. We'll talk about communication. We'll talk about love languages, because the way men communicate and the way women communicate is very different. But, there's also some biblical context to what men are commanded to do and what, women are commanded to do. So we talk about all of those things, just really nice, open and candid conversations, and how to play nice in the sandbox, right? Don't shoot below the belt because you're mad, because once whatever it is comes out of your mouth, you can never take it back. And all the sorries in the world will never be able to take those words back, right? So we talk about all those things. We talk about blended families, and how do you blend families? What does that look like if you marry a woman with children, if you marry a man with children, or both have children? And so now you're together and you have this huge blended family. So how does that work? Who has the last say so as it pertains to the kids?
Yeah, that's
you're going to raise the kids and all of that. And if you don't talk about those things, ideally you would get all of that straight before you say I do, but most people don't, right? That would be in the form of premarital counseling, where you would then walk through and talk through a lot of those things. Like, okay, well, you have 8 kids between the 2 of you. How's this actually going to work? When you disagree about something, how do you resolve that as it pertains to the kids? How do you handle this kid that says, you're not my mother, you're not my father? How do you handle that as a couple, how are you going to deal with that? So we talk about all the things, and because those are topics that need to be discussed. We talk about menopause and how menopause affects women and what men need to know, because you have to deal with the woman, right? And
we gotta know. Yes.
A lot of times it's just lack of knowledge. They don't even understand that entire process. And then there's what I call menopause, right? So men go through some things too, and ladies don't always understand what the husbands are going through. But when men have comorbidities like diabetes, high blood pressure, it affects a lot of things that people don't want to talk about, right? And then the wife's wondering, oh, well, what's wrong, with me? There's nothing wrong with you, love. It is him, and he needs to, get checked out and do some things, right, so that other things can happen.
Yeah.
Don't talk about that. They just don't talk about it and think it's going to magically disappear. Well, it's not going to magically disappear. You have to address it. So those are all of the things that we talk about in the couple conversations.
I got to get you on the show again and talk about that particular session. I love that whole thing. I mean, I think this is something that's really powerful, right? I mean, my wife and I, our daughter and her husband just went to a marriage retreat. So we're bringing them in, and they've gone a few years, so just that all that you share is just, oh man. Yeah. Ooh. So I'm asking you now, think about it. Come back and talk specifically.
Absolutely, because I tell you, marriages is one of my favorite things to talk about, right? One of my absolute favorites, because I had to learn some things the hard way.
Me too. I created some crazy, and I shared a little bit about that with you. So, wow. So tell me, is it living my life like it's golden?
Like it's golden travel movement, doing business that's golden life travel.
Okay, and the website is living my life
like it's golden. Travel movement, travelmovement.com.
Movement?
Yes.
I think I got it right. Then just come back and listen to it again. But I put that on. I'm soloing it today, so
yes.
I may have messed it up. So, Doc, listen.
If you haven't been on my website, take a look at it. You'll find it quite inspiring. What you mentioned were ladies' trips, but most of what we do a lot of couples trips. Yeah. And there's a reason, because couples need that time together. How we talked about me time for women. Well, there's the whole me time for the couple, without the kids, without the in-laws, without the cousin Nene and all of those folks, right? Time for husband and wife, and the two shall become one, that sort of thing, right? So
I've seen it from there. So if you're wondering about, there's some fabulous trips, and my wife and I are looking at some of the stuff that you guys have done, so we can't wait to be a part of that. In the coming years and stuff. So listen. Woo. This has been fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you. Pleasure's mine. Happy to have the opportunity to come and have my conversations with Geoff.
Yeah. Well, Geoff is happy about you. So tell us in a couple sentences, what do you want people to walk away with right now? We've dropped a lot of stuff. If you could summarize it in a couple of sentences.
If I could summarize it, it would be to never let anyone dim your light, right? Because there are so many forces out here that will take that little seed that you have, whatever that seed is, to become something, to do something different, right? People will destroy that seed, whereas we should be watering that seed so that it yields something, some fruit. And I would say that's the takeaway. Don't ever allow anyone to do that.
Ooh, boy. Amen. So, Doctor, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for everything you've done tonight.
All right. Thank you. Have a great rest of your evening.
All right, we shall. We'll see you. Promise me you're going to come back on this whole marriage thing, girl, because I know we need to.
Absolutely. I could talk about marriage and love and marriage for hours.
Yeah, well, we're going to do that for sure. So, you take care. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
So, man, listen, when you just plan on going back and listening to this again and reaching out to her. I mean, they do amazing things as a couple, as women, and separate trips. All those things she's talking about is all real stuff, right? And most importantly, I mean, you can tell from her genuineness, it's all about, man, what she's saying is real and she means it. And she said, never let anybody else dim your light. You know, like, stop trying to fit into a picture frame that you've already outgrown, man. Right? The external noise, we talked about all that stuff. So I encourage you, play this, so you couples, play this situation back, take some time, reach out to her. If you can't get a hold of her, please reach out to me. I mean, they do some really phenomenal stuff, and they're just getting started. They've been doing it for a while. So anyway, thank you for spending your evening with us. The special edition Conversations with Geoff and Dr. Gwendella Robinson. And as I always say, don't let nobody steal your purpose. Don't let nothing stop you from reaching your destiny. You shall not be denied. And flip that script on your stinking thinking. Change the conversation you have with yourself about yourself and step into who you're meant to be. And like she showed you today, it's possible to live your life the way you want to and not have to have a vacation to reset your world. All right. See you on the next episode. We got some great things coming. Pay attention to the ads that are coming out. Have a great night. Reach out to Doc when you get a chance. You won't regret it. Take care, guys.